Hey people, it's the 14th of November and it's another session here of the market recap. Wow, what a wild week we've had in the markets. But first and foremost, I'm sure or majority of the people are glad it's over. If you're not hedging your portfolio, this is something here telling you, well, what have I done? And if you hedged, congratulations. If you're in too many positions, unfortunately, well, you learned a lesson, I guess. But what's happened today or this week? How did it pan out? Just going to quickly share my screen and we shall have a look at what we have in the market. So let's see. Let's see. I mean, it kind of feels like a Clint Eastwood kind of market, Where does it say it's the good, the bad, the ugly? We had a few good, I've got to say. No, not many, but we had a few good. And I think before anything at all, I might just even share what it looks like in terms of what the entire market looks like in terms of the heat map. And this is what it looks like. Overall, it's kind of feels like it's a terrible week, but I've got to say it's yeah, number one is the market-wide sell-off. That's number one. Number two, it's another thing to say about this market is that majority of the large caps they felt it. But look at Apple, look at let's just have a look. So Nvidia, 1%, not bad at all. Um, just give me a second. Yep. Yeah, I want to use a green. No, let me use a neutral color, yellow. Okay, Nvidia, 1%. Microsoft actually stayed up all through. Apple up as well. But look at Amazon, a lot of load shedding there. Google, not as bad. You've got to have to squint your face to find where Tesla is. And where is Tesla I know it's one of the largest caps. Look at that. That's a bloody 6% dump in the markets. You can see the healthcare, they stayed well. Look, Lily. So, like I said, it kind of feels structured, but we do have some which just couldn't cope with the sell-off. Oracle's been getting a shellacking for the past few weeks. I've got to say 2 weeks, dare I say. Hood, you can see there. PayPal, I think Palantir is another one which got beat. Uh, in AMAT. I think that's probably just because of the earnings yesterday, which contributed to it as well. So you could actually see the way it looks like. But generally, software infrastructure that stayed, tech mostly not bad. Consumer electronics with Apple staying there. Industrials horrible. Consumer cyclical. Healthcare. So overall, generally, it's terrible for some, great for some people. But one thing I keep saying is this actually looked like it was a structured sell-off because you look at it. The markets had what did the market have? We had a government shutdown that was declared over. It was signed into law just about yesterday. And guess what? The sell-off started. A few reasons why the sell-off started, but one of them was because, we heard that the inflation data from for October, it's probably never going to be released. Wow. The market doesn't like that. There's a bit of a, unknown rule or rumor that maybe inflation is just coming up. Let's see what the market says. This was gladly posted, nicely posted by someone in the group. And we're probably going to see this next week. Employment situation for 2025 is going to be released. Previously scheduled release dates, which was not released as a result of the government lockdown. So 20th of November, next Thursday. Now, real earnings, which was not released again, will be released 21st of November. This is from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So this is actually real raw data, which, has got something to look out for next week. You thought the sell-off was over, we shall see, but maybe it's not been priced in. But also, you got to stop being scared or worried because this is this is the AI era, number one. Number two, we're talking about, dollar debasement. We're talking about QE. So we've got quite a lot of catalysts, which is going to push this market further. But one thing you've got to understand is the market sell-off is real. The markets just got spooked. It's not scared. How do I say? And there's been a few heads which has been calling this market has just been running to, running on overdrive. There's a bit of a, I don't want to use the word scam, but there you go. That's what he is. Michael Burry, for example, he called the Nvidia short. He called Palantir short. I don't even know how Palantir ended today, but I think it ended green eventually. Market's been extremely, extremely oversold, and we could see some of these things happening. I mean, look at this I'm looking on the weekly, but look at that. That was a bloody red, and it closed below last week's. But there you go. Um, so that's something there. We do have some of these stocks which actually got beaten heavily, or even not just stocks. Crypto as well. Look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin got hammered heavily, and people thought it's never going to come to 100 anymore, but or below 100 anymore. But you can see that Bitcoin there, and anything Bitcoin related, BTBT, for example, so you got hammered. One thing I keep saying is you got to know when to hold these positions, know when to quit, know when to walk away, know when to run. BTBT, Clean Spark. That was another one. He just got hammered. Even my my regular day to day cocoa. I'm talking about the commodities now. Cocoa as well. That because we've been calling for low 4,000s now here. I think this has still got a bit of a load shed to go. Also oil, for example, as well. Crude oil. Crude oil was actually a good surprise. I was saying that when the what's it called? Shutdown is over, we expect crude oil to start creeping. They haven't said anything, they haven't done anything, but generally overall, it's still on a lower trend. People want cheaper oil, and I guess cheaper oil is what they're getting. But crude oil has actually been at a great 4-year resistance right now. I think it's kind of like forming a hard resistance. Is it going to bounce? I don't know. I'm not looking at that much at the moment. Yeah, got quite a few oil positions. I'm just paying attention to, but I'm not adding more to my crude oil. I think a few key things that got mentioned, let me just quickly look at my notes today, was a lot about Mr. MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy, it's been in trouble for a while now. Look, who would have thought MicroStrategy? Look at that. It's been telling you something, but one thing is market is talking, but are you paying attention? Are you paying attention? Right there, right there, right there. And I'm not sure if it's a rumor. There's been a bit of a he says, she says, going on. MicroStrategy were selling Bitcoin for the first time, but he came on CNBC to say, look, we're not selling, but we know that its average price is 66, 68K. Yeah, net average value. If, for example, Bitcoin tends to hit 68K, then of course it's going to be at a loss, and it would unfortunately not have much choice than he's going to have to start cutting a loss. And if he does that, that's really going to heavily affect the crypto market. But that's that one there. Um, had a few other things I wanted to talk about. Yeah, so we know this liquidation is going to be a disaster, but also we do have some holding companies as well. I think is it EMPD is one. There's quite a few holding companies, to be honest. EMPD has been in trouble, big trouble. EMPD is one. SQNS is in trouble. Even this Tom Lee one as well. I think BMNR. These guys are all in trouble. I mean, at some point, that was the story that was pushing the crypto market, and we know it is unsustainable. But we shall see. This BMNR went all the way to 161, and it's literally been divided into four right now. So a few things to pay attention to. If you remember very well, in 2022 bear market, Bitcoin, I think, dropped by 80% and MSCR survived. So, I mean, it's probably just another rumor here that it might, well, just another fear mongering. And I'm not scaring anyone at all. It could survive, it could not survive. All we're looking at is we pay attention to the market, pay attention to the charts, and that's what we see. There's something here I talked about. I mean, I personally just look at a day-to-day interaction of the market. What am I seeing? One thing I say is trade what you see, not what you expect to see. I looked at, I think, for example, if you look at SNDK, and this is something I mentioned today, I mentioned a few days ago in the group, and I said, let's just have a look at SNDK. this been going bananas. Yes, it went back up 4% today, but I just said to myself, look, SNDK, this deserves a ripe short. I just thought, look, this deserves a ripe short. Yes, nothing will go up forever. It will have to come down at some point. But guess what? This is what we saw earlier. I mean, I can't remember what price I called that. And before he recovered a bit today, he was down heavily to 43. I mean, you've got to understand there are rips in a down market and they are down in a rip market. So I think we need more down before we move further up. So November hasn't really been amazing, just like we had people thought October was going to be great, but no, it hasn't been great either. So likewise November. But also, I think was it yesterday that um, Michael he closed his hedge fund. But people tend to talk a bit about him. But I just realized as well, this guy. I mean, this is not a reporting update, but one thing you've got to understand is Michael Berry has not actually he hasn't done too bad. I mean, in terms of return, that's what his performance has been. I don't know why this is a black text color, but if you look at the color here, 1 year 522, 3 years minus 18, but over 5 years 60%, and over 10 year 240%. I think that is worthy of commendation. To this guy. Yes, he makes a lot of calls, but look, I think sometimes you just have to put some respect on this guy's name. But that's on a personal note. I think he's done amazing for himself, and from afar, I think well done to him. Well played. Yes, he made some wrong calls, but who doesn't? So I'm not here in the game of criticizing anyone. I think everyone gets criticized, to an extent. I was looking at the video today, and I said if this actually does get below 180, markets will be scooped heavily, or spooked heavily. But thankfully, it closed out 190 and it held it green. A few other things as well, which is why are people scared? Do you really need to be scared? And this is my thesis. This is my thesis, especially because it feels like it's a huge shellacking. But one thing you got to understand is, like I said again, it's been heavily controlled and it's been on mostly AI components, AI stocks. Now, if you look at the VTI, it's only been 2.6% down from all-time high. The all-time high, I think, was received just about last week or so. So if you look at the key technical indicators and the moving averages, which I don't really need to put on here, which I mentioned, it shows that there's not really major cause for concern, really, because short-term trading charts suggest the stability, price action remain within established channels. Does not mean need for me slapping them on right now, and they're all above critical levels. So, instead of reacting to media-driven fear, I think we just need to be composed and stick to disciplined, stop loss strategies, especially. So overall, I don't think so. I think some of these have been on wild run, and of course, they do deserve to shed off a little bit. Like I said, I call them load shedding. But overall, look at where we are. This is literally just 2 weeks of selling. This is where we are. It's actually nothing in the run this market has had. So if you are doing it wrong, then you probably are not sizing correctly. You're on the wrong crowded positions, or whichever way I can say, you just have to be able to manage your trades accordingly. Or you're probably just buying some things that have been on the 11th or 14th floor. One thing you got to be able to do is ignore the noise, ignore the media, and be able to find what works in terms of where it's not crowded. Don't get into bloated positions. Otherwise, you just end up just giving your money away, really. But I think in closing, one thing is, like I said again, this market is a weighing machine, and overall, in short term, it's a voting machine, but long term, it's a weighing machine. While everyone is complaining, look at Warren Buffett right there. It's just climbing. It's climbing the wall of worry. And what does that tell you? This market in the short term, yes, a voting machine, but a long term, it's a weighing machine. And that's all I'm going to say. And that's where I'm going to close. So I hope, hopefully this week is gone and we're going to get into a new week next week. And of course, spend the weekend to recharge your batteries And one thing I tend to say is if you're losing, just trust that probably most people are losing. Ignore what you're reading about people posting their P&L. You are probably doing something right, but if you're not doing something right, do not trade it alone. Make sure you find a good community, have someone to bounce off ideas with, and you can take it from there. But until then, next week is going to be a loaded one. Let's just hope things get back to being great. And until then, again, we shall see you next week, and hope everyone has a good weekend. Look, there's nothing as important as your health. Get the strength and have a good week. Take care. Bye bye.